Hello. If you've been watching my videos lately, you'll know that I've been doing a small series on how to plan, design, purchase and plant a formal boxwood parterre. The first one was about planning and designing. The second one was about purchasing and planting. And this is the third one. This is the culmination of the three, and this is the exciting day when the gravel arrives and I lay it all down. So by the end of the day, we should have something which resembles the finished product, except it won't be finished because I've got 20 years now to enjoy this all coming into maturity. These box plants will all grow and knit together and form a nice, short, compact, densely clipped hedge. In the earlier two videos, we talked about clearing the ground, we talked about enriching the soil, we talked about the weed fabric or the weed control membrane. We talked about the choice of plants, we talked about box blight and box tree caterpillar and the alternatives to box plants. I talked about plant spacing and how to come up with the right design for you. And I also talked about ongoing maintenance. And in this, the third and final video, you'll see me laying the gravel, and all this rather unsightly weed fabric will just disappear and these lovely green box plants will pop. Except this is probably not going to be the final video in the series, because over the next few years I will demonstrate how to clip and maintain the box tree parterre. But for now, before the gravel arrives, and it'll be arriving very soon I hope, I've got a little job to do, and that is using my soldering iron, which I've had warming up over here, to just nip the weed control fabric in between each of these plants so that it lays down flat. And in doing so, it will create an extra little layer of protection against the invasive weeds which are bound to blow in from the surrounding fields. And using a soldering iron to cut the weed control membrane was a little hack which I shared with you in both those earlier videos. Not only does it do a very effective job of cutting the weed control membrane, it slices through it like butter. At the same time, it welds it together and helps to prevent, not eliminate, but prevent that fraying. So I'm going to go ahead now and just make a little nick so that it folds down in between each plant. And I've got about 150 of those nicks to do before the gravel arrives. It'll only take me a few minutes. I'll see you in a moment. It's now 2 hours since the gravel arrived, and it's turned into a very wet and miserable early March afternoon. But I'm far too excited to let that stop me, and I can't wait to distribute this gravel in and amongst this formal parterre. It's really going to make these lovely, bright, fresh box trees stand out. So let's get on with the job. And I might come back to you with a few words of wisdom as I do it, but for now I'm going to put this on fast forward so that you can see the effect unfold before your very eyes. So there we go. The gravel is laid. The formal boxwood parterre at the front of my cottage is finished, as is my series of videos on how to prepare, plan, design, plant and maintain a formal boxwood parterre, and you can find those videos on my YouTube channel. I hope you've enjoyed that as much as I did. I got thoroughly soaked to the skin, but I had a great time putting the gravel down, and I'm incredibly pleased with the results. This gravel will act as a great mulch. It will help keep the moisture in the soil, and it will suppress the weeds, which will avoid competition for these lovely little box plants. Not only that, it looks great and it helps the box trees to really stand out. In terms of my 5 pieces of invaluable advice, the first one is, if you possibly can, shop local. The place where I bought this gravel from were incredibly helpful. Their prices were reasonable and they delivered for free. Not only did they deliver it for free, they placed it exactly where I asked them to using a crane. They were very, very helpful. I was able to go and have a look at the gravel and feel it and make sure it was the right thing before I bought it, and you really don't get that online. I've nothing against online shopping, but in this case, going and seeing the gravel was the right thing for me to do. My second piece of invaluable advice is, when you're distributing your gravel around your parterre, don't, as I did, wear wellies, because inevitably when you're shoveling it around, some of it will drop in there and you'll be constantly taking your wellies off and emptying them of gravel, and it's really uncomfortable when it gets in there underneath your feet. Don't wear wellies. My third piece of advice is, buy more gravel than you think you're going to need. You can go online, there's calculators online where you can work out how much gravel you need, but I would say always buy slightly more. It would be a real shame if you run out just before you've finished the job and you have to buy more and you can still see bits of weed fabric pointing through. You'll always find a use for gravel in your garden. For example, me, I've got a Mediterranean board to do just here. That's my next project, and you'll be able to see the video, and I'll be able to put this to good use in that project. It can also be used for enhancing drainage in soil in pots. So don't worry about buying more, worry about running out. The next piece of invaluable advice is, when it is delivered, have it put near where you need it. Now, in fairness, I asked them to put all 3 of mine in a line here. With hindsight, I should have probably got 1 put here, 1 over in the far corner and 1 over there in that corner. Now, that would have made for much less legwork when I was putting the gravel down. My 5th and final piece of invaluable advice is, when it comes to shoveling the gravel in, start at the furthest point away from you and then work backwards. If you start here and then go in that direction, you'll be walking on the gravel that you've already laid, and it just makes it more hard work. So start at the furthest point and work back towards the pile. So that's my work on the formal boxwood parterre done for now. The only thing I've got left to do is stand in my window and watch it and enjoy it and see it knit together into a lovely, compact, dense hedge. I'll have to trim it once a year and keep it well fed and watered whilst it gets established. But to me, that is quite low maintenance, and I'll be able to enjoy that for years to come. Please do like the video if you've enjoyed watching it, and share it, and hit the notifications bell and subscribe to my channel. Also, comment below, because I always love to hear from you, and I'll see you soon.